Hey everyone, it's Attached Wisp, and welcome to my second Arc Warden guide. I recently broke 6.2k MMR, which I'm pretty happy about. So after such a massive wave of support from the 1,000 or so viewers that watched my first video, I decided I would try and make some shorter guides here and there to help you guys up to speed on different things like hero matchups, items builds, and even more tips that I learned from you guys, which some of them I didn't even know myself. So after a discussion I had on Reddit with another Arc player, we discussed just how strong Necrobook is, and he spent some time analysing another great Arc player called Vaxastyle, who almost always goes Necrobook first. So in this video I'm going to show you why rushing Necrobook is so strong, and the difference between rushing Midas versus going Necrobook into Midas. So let's get started. Now the starting items for this build are going to be a little different from what I would usually buy, but I start off with 3 slippers of agility, 1 branch, 1 fairy fire, or you can alternatively build 2 slippers into a wraith band and have 1 extra slipper. I courier out a solve as soon as the game starts, just after the bounty runes have been taken. From there, move on to Basilius, which will give you some valuable armor, damage, and mana regen, which will later be disassembled as one of the Necrobook components, and keeping a casual ring of protection. I'd advise you to still pick up situational items like magic stick, wand, raindrops, etc. to survive the lane against certain matchups. Even if it delays your Necrobook, but your main goal is to naked rush the Necrobook as fast as possible to power farm. Your inventory may seem quite full, but that's okay. If you need to sell a small item to get Necrobook, do so. Now I will move to the playstyle and farming pattern that you should be looking to mirror in the early game. Once you get Necrobook at around 7 to 11 minutes, make sure you have a TP in your inventory, or you will miss out on a lot of free gold. TP your clone to the offlane shrine and run your clone into the ancient camp to start tanking damage, and then pop your Necrobook. Be sure to micro the warrior unit to the back if it looks like it's going to die, so you can let the archer take some damage. Then shift A click the other 2 camps. Now, whilst you are microing these units, you should be also microing your other Necrobook from your main hero in 2 places. Either A, pushing the wave down mid if the wave is stagnant, or B, A clicking the safe lane jungle. Both sides should be able to clear about 3 camps and maybe an extra 1 or 2 camps per Necrobook use. This should yield about 800 to 1100 GPM, depending on if your Necrobook's cooldowns are staggered from using your double prior to them being off cooldown. As you can see in this clip I just showed, from 9 minutes 12 I had 3640 net worth. 1 minute later, at 10 minutes 12, I have 4686 net worth. That totals to 1046 GPM in that minute of usage. If I did the rotation here properly, by taking the ancients first, it would have been 1100 GPM, but you get the idea. You should look to mirror your Necrobook timings each use, even though it's sometimes hard to do. Having Necrobook is like having a second Midas that has a lot of good stats, pushing power, has a small aura, and 1000 GPM farming power for 60 seconds with a 30-second cooldown. Like, that's insane. And an ability to fight if you're threatened. So obviously you don't want to be fighting with this, you want to be focusing on farming the jungle or pushing free lanes, as that's how you can get the most out of it. But you know, if you get forced into a fight, you can fight with it. So from getting Necrobook at 9 minutes 12, I managed to get Midas at 11:15 time. So 2 minutes after the Necrobook, which is about 1000 GPM. Now that I have Midas, it will increase my GPM even more. As a side note, you may notice why I haven't picked up boots. This is completely up to you and the game. If you feel like you need boots, then pick them up. If you feel like you can get away with like power farming uncontested, just skip boots and rush the Necro Midas and you can get travels straight away. I'm a little annoyed at myself for not looking in depth to actually see how strong this build was, and I'm not recommending this to inexperienced Arc players because it is a very hard build and a lot of micromanaging, so you need a lot of practice with it. If you don't want to go this build, just check out my normal guide for building on Arc and the other video, and obviously you don't have to follow my suit, but statistically this is the fastest way to farm. But it also leaves you open to the enemy team pushing you hard with your pants down, so to speak. Now some other side notes to Necrobook: you should leave it at level 1 unless you are in a game where you can make use of the level 2 and 3 book abilities such as Invis Detection for 2+ Invis heroes, and the Archer Purge is really good against certain heroes that have Ghost Scepters or Purgeable Stealth abilities like Bloodlust, Monkey, Jingu, Alacrity and so on. You shouldn't sell the book unless you have at least 5 slots filled, as this item still proves worthy for pushing and fighting, but you still have to keep in mind that when it comes to late game, your Necro units are quite squishy and they just feed gold, so you need to be very careful not to feed them. So to finish off, I'm just going to end the video with some extra tips that I either forgot to mention in the last video, and some tips that other players gave me from Reddit. So here they are. Tip 1. BKB isn't the only thing that stops wraiths, as they are only disjointable by a few spells. Yules blocks them, and also spells like Puck's Phase Shift or Jug Spin, but they have to be timed quite well to dodge it. Wraiths also don't activate on BKB targets until the immunity finishes, but you can still block the damage if they activate on you, and then you use BKB. Let me know if I missed any other spells that also disjoint in the comments. Tip 2 isn't really a tip, it's more of an opinion. Drums can be purchased on Arc, but I think that it's more of a hindrance and you should opt for more normal items. I can see drums maybe being good if you want to end and group early, as multiple charges on drums is good, plus the cross-effective stats. Blade Mail is a super undervalued item that I forgot to mention. 2 Blade Mails can reflect some insane damage against heroes like Invoker, Kunkka, Warlock, etc. I have been picking this up more recently in games where it fits. Plus the item also offers a little bit of damage, intelligence, and some much needed armor. Tip 4. If your Tempest double is on cooldown, please tell your team so they can sit back and wait for it. This is very important, as you don't want to be forcing fights without it, as dying could cost you the game in a lot of cases. This is a very important aspect. You should adapt, and even if it gets annoying repeating yourself. Tip 5. This tip, amazingly enough, I didn't actually know. I had just had such a good memory of my cooldowns that I had never actually thought to click on the icons on the left hand side of the screen. This is a good way to check your item cooldowns. Now my final tip, number 6, is quite a cool one, but very hard to do in an actual game. I've only pulled it off a couple of times, but what you do is you place 2 fields like this to make you almost invulnerable. It's hard to do, but it's very rewarding if you can pull it off. Keep in mind that this is only physical attacks. So that's it guys, sorry it took me a while to upload. I'll be faster next time, I promise. Definitely give the Necrobook guide a go if you're interested. If not, that's cool. Let me know what do you think about other Arc videos I should make in the future. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.